Hello and welcome to the Writing Community Chat Show. Hello everybody and welcome to the Writing Community Chat Show. Again, so excited to be back in the hot seat with a fantastic guest for you. And Chris, we do have to re-record that video every time. It makes me laugh. But there you go. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited about today's show. Good week. So yeah, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, it has been a good week. It's been very busy. As some of you might have noticed on social media, I finished and passed my course, which was a level 5 trauma-informed mental health practitioner. So thank you for that, Chris. And tonight's guest has got experience in the world of trauma as well. So we could also bring that back up. We've had quite a lot of guests in the mental health realm recently, and it's been really, really good conversations and very interesting guest tonight. Their book is different to something we've had on before, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, any guest that's willing to go to the mental health space is a guest worth talking to for me. We like to delve deep into that minefield, quite literally. So yeah, we can have a chat about that later on.
Yeah, it certainly will. So yeah, writing wise, I haven't been writing that much because of the course and everything going on, and busy with the show, as you know, Chris. But have you had book mail today? Because I have.
No, well, I have, but I ordered this for myself.
Okay.
So start with why. And again, TED Talker. We've been invited to do a TED Talk, so I've been looking up at stuff about that and seeing how to do it, and presentations and all that jazz. So when our moment comes, Aga, and we step on that stage, that we're ready to go and talk about all things.
Yeah.
No, not waffle. Start with why. Why are we there? Obviously, we're here because we started the Writing Community Chat Show because we wanted to speak to people. We wanted to chat to the experts and to give out tips and advice for the folk in the writing community. And yeah, that's our why. So we start with there. No waffle.
Well, the book, you will receive this also, but we had a box, or I had a box of books from Pan Macmillan. It was quite a big box, yeah. And it had a bunch of books in there. Some of the authors I interviewed last year at the Harrogate Crime Writers Festival. We've received those books because we're going back this year to moderate for Pan Macmillan. So very excited about that. And some of the books in there look really good. So we'll be diving into those over the next few weeks, ready for July's Harrogate Crime Writers Festival. And as I mentioned on a video I did earlier, if you are in the UK in July and you fancy doing something different, the Harrogate Crime Writers Festival is a fantastic experience. You can network with a lot of people. You can meet a lot of people, the authors and readers, have a good few drinks, as we tend to do, and come and see us do some interviews there. So yeah, the Pan Macmillan tent is the only one there that is a free interview area. The rest you need tickets for. So if you want to come and stand right by the bar, which is right next to our tent, and see us do interviews, you can do that. And we kind of hope you do, so we can meet you as well. So that's happening.
Definitely. And I will need those books because I'll need a distraction from not eating, because I will be trying to lose as much weight as possible to be in the flesh. If people are going to come and see us in the flesh, I want it to be the best version of my flesh that it can possibly be.
So, don't be like that, Chris. Your flesh is fine as it is.
Remember that the camera adds £10, so we'll have to make sure we shift it.
Well, yes, indeed. So thank you for tuning in. Anna, thank you very much. Happy Friday to you. Hello, Halo. Nice to see you in the chat as well. And Anya, it's great to see you all. And it means that we got to the weekend, which is always the best part of when the show starts, because we know we can relax unless you work on the weekend. And then, sorry for you for that one. Hooli, don't be so hard on yourself. And I agree. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's a good excuse, good distraction. Love Pan Macmillan, love what they do and the offers that they've got. So yeah, really excited to be working with them and being the face of Pan Macmillan, if we can say that.
I don't know.
I'm sure we can.
Yeah,
we're interviewing. We'll be the face.
Yes, absolutely. But talking of faces, we've got a great one coming up. So let me introduce our guest. Uh, Sara Banyan is a classically trained actor who has worked as a secret weapon in Hollywood, coaching thousands of artists, working with the likes of George Clooney, Bill Zabka, and Ted Danson, coaching thousands of artists, athletes, and public figures to stop acting and start being. She's the brains behind the Monreal Method, a transformative coaching philosophy that blends the focus of elite athletes with the soul of the creative mind. Her book, Dating for Dudes, up above Chris's head, is a funny, heartfelt, no BS guide for modern men trying to find love without losing themselves. From Hollywood heartbreak to healing, from the audition room to dating apps, Sara brings deep insight, raw honesty, and a wicked sense of humor to everything she does. Whether you're single, searching, or just tired of swiping, this episode's for you. So please give a nice warm welcome to Sara Banyan. Hello, Sara.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Thank you for joining us. I'm so sorry. I just said Sara Banyan, and it's Banyan, and we just talked about that before the show started. Named after
Banyan.
the amazing tree I've never seen before.
It is. It's a beautiful tree representing rebirth, nurturing, life, community. It's a really cool tree. Thank you, Anya.
Yes, absolutely. So, how are you doing? How's your week been?
My week is phenomenal. Yeah, that's where I live now. That's where I am. Like, banyan trees are gorgeous. I choose my mental health and a calm nervous system over anything else because I've spent a lifetime figuring out how to heal from childhood trauma. And so no matter what's going on now, and I'm in the United States, so no matter what is going on, I am maintaining balance and well-being, which feels incredible.
Yeah, I think it's something we should definitely prioritize over a lot of things in the modern world, and it's something that almost feels with social pressures and things like that as well, that we're not quite doing it well enough at the moment. And you know, we've talked about it, I think, on the after show, Chris, with some of our followers that come on the after show with us, about it should be like a implemented school sort of system. Wellness should be at the forefront, and it just isn't. So I think it's something that we should all consciously do, but also the government should pick up as well.
Yes. Amen. CJ for president.
Anna says, my parents have a massive banyan tree in their dining room. It's absolutely gorgeous.
What? That's incredible. So it's in the middle of the dining room?
That is incredible, because they look quite big on the picture I saw.
Very large.
Yeah. So Sara, in the part of America that you're in, obviously writing is something that you're into and you're doing. So have you had any sort of connection with other writers in your local area?
Not at all. No. No, so I coach actors, I train actors, athletes, hosts, entertainers, and I've really built a career off training actors. And a few years ago, when the industry hit a strike, it was just crickets. My business was cut by 80%. I was lucky to still have business, but I was dating a lot. And I was like, oh no, this is not good. This is not good. Like the apps and out there and on these dates. And I'm like getting angry and a little frustrated and mad. And I'm like pissed. And so I just thought, I feel like I could help, you know, like I'm seeing these dudes make all of these mistakes, and there's all these resources for women, books, coaches, podcasts. I mean, it is like how to change yourself as a woman so that you can attract a man. It's all over the place. But for you dudes, not so much.
Yeah.
And the pressure to get into a relationship for everyone is causing like this weird, like fucked up kind of dating scene. So I just thought I can write And I just started writing so that I could actually just keep dating, because I'd come home and be like, oh, I got to write about this. And then one of my students was paying for class by editing what I was writing. And she said, Sarah, you can't yell at the men. Like, you can't yell at them. I'm like, but I want to. She's like, no, you need to be the coach for them who you've been for us in class. And I do. I mean, like, coach to me, I didn't allow myself to be called coach until a World Series Cy Young award-winning pitcher called me coach. And then I was like, that's a huge honor. I will take it. And now it's like, whoa, if you call me coach, that's huge. So I was like, I can do that. I can stop yelling, and I can write from like generosity, kindness. And as a coach for anyone really who's out there dating. And then I was like, oh my God, I gotta actually walk the talk. Like, I can't just say, go do this. It works if I haven't tried it myself. And so I started doing it myself. I'm like, this works.
Nice. So before we get into the book, which is hopefully a bit later on and we talk about it, can we kind of get a bit of information about how you got into the whole world of acting, and then into your coaching, and then into your writing, and that whole journey?
Sure. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm a child of big T trauma. And I'm also a middle child of two shrinks. My dad was a psychiatrist and my mom a psychiatric nurse. So I was like being analyzed in utero, but the trauma was never picked up on.
Yeah.
And I was really had a hard time struggling and wanting to just exist in this world the way that it was. And because the trauma was never identified or correctly diagnosed, what I did was I learned how to act. And I started acting the part of the kid that I thought I was supposed to be, because my trauma fragmented me. It broke me. So I had to be pieces of myself in order to survive. And I started getting good at it. You know, if my dad was mad at me, I could sort of flip a shade a little bit and get him a little less angry. But I just never fit in. And I was really lonely and isolated. And in order to survive trauma, I existed a lot in my imagination. And so becoming an actor kind of fit. I went to theater camp at 13 and I was like, oh my God, I found my people. I do fit in. They're all weird and wild and crazy like me. I mean, all these terms that I've been given, difficult, problematic, self-destructive. All of a sudden I was okay because I was an artist. And on stage, I could be whoever I wanted to. And I had all these people inside of me. So it made sense. And so then I went to London when I was 16. I studied at the British American Drama Academy for 2 summers, 2 different programs, and then went to college, got my degree in acting, and went straight to Hollywood at 21. So I like to say, there's like hell, and then Hollywood's like a few steps underneath it. And I started booking really young because I was a great auditioner, and most actors are not. Like, you want to know the death of any actor's career, it's auditioning. The death of actor's soul, auditioning. Lady Gaga was an actress before she became a singer. What killed her acting career? Before, of course, it was resurrected magnificently, auditioning. But I was a great auditioner. Uh-oh, what's happening, CJ?
I don't know. Something's happening to me. Carry on. It's okay.
So I started booking, and I started booking in a big way. Leads of pilots, working on networks, working with people like George Clooney. But there was such an insane pressure on the way that I looked that if I went up one size, I would get fired and recast. And so I really started getting messed up in my head about my body, had an eating disorder. I was succeeding at a very high level, but what it took was starving myself and compulsively exercising. And I would have people see that I was on TV and thinking I was hugely successful, but I was struggling to want to live. And I kept leaving. I'd go to my agents after working for like 2 years nonstop and be like, I'm leaving. That's it. I'm quitting. The first time they cried, they're like, no, don't leave. I'm like, I'm leaving. And I went and worked in a nursery school because I was like, I can't go work in another restaurant. I'd done that. That was not healthy for me. I was like, what am I good at? I'm like, well, I'm half Jewish and I'm good with kids. Maybe this temple will hire me. And they did. And so I got to go into the den of unconditional love every single day. And it was the hardest job ever. But like my agents would call and say, well, but George Clooney wants to meet you. No. All right, fine. I'll go, but it has to be between nap time and story time. And I would like drive to the valley with my overalls. And they'd be like, can you go back and like actually wear nicer clothes? And I'm like, I'm busy. I have sand to deal with and children. And that was actually very healing. And then the second time I left Hollywood, my agent sent me an actor. His name was Cole Griffin, and he had been auditioning for 2 years with no success. And they said, look, you're good at this. And the first audition I coached him on, he got a call back. And his manager called my agents. And within 3 months, I was coaching all the time because no one was doing what I was doing, which was coaching at the highest level. A lot of teachers out there were teaching methods that might work for theater, but when it comes to the audition arena, which is a gladiator arena, I fucking dominated. By the way, I was told I could curse and drink.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm doing it. Okay. So yeah, I would go in at the highest level and book, and then I would find I would leave. And when coaching found me, I was like, I love this. And then one of my old students had married a baseball player named Barry Zito, who had won a World Series. Like he was at the top of his game trying to decide if he wanted to keep playing. And she was like, can you work with him? And I'm like, on being an actor? She's like, no, on his game. I'm like, I don't know anything about baseball, like at all. I'll learn. I'll talk to him, of course. He liked what I had to say and he hired me. So for 3 months, I worked with him and was creating a process as I was discovering where his blocks were. And that sort of became a pivotal foundation for the Mornell method, which is a combination of the athletic mind, meaning the artistic soul. But it's what I realized with working with Barry is he had been playing baseball for everyone but himself.
Yeah.
His dad started coaching him when he was 3. One of the best games of his life was after his father passed away, the game after his dad died. And I was like, that's an interesting thing, you know? And in many ways, you know, Barry had lost the love of the game because he had lost who he was. He was playing for the fans, his father, the managers, the agents, the money, and in his last game that I worked with him on, we had worked on mantras before he pitched. And he walked up and got on the mound, and I saw him mouth to himself, do it for me. And he pitched that day for himself. And what Barry would say about me, I think is very true, which is Sara will teach you how to go into the parts of yourself you would rather not know. And then work to bring those parts to light, ultimately to integrate them and bolster for performance. I like to think of non-performance, you know, authenticity is how we live and breathe, so that when we work, it doesn't feel like we're putting something on or playing a character, but we're coming from within and being brave enough to be ourselves. So that's the work I started doing. And then on my own little side journey, I didn't give up trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I was like, why am I depressed? Why? I had all kinds of diagnoses: bipolar, schizophrenic, manic depressive, on the spectrum. Depression was always a big one, multiple personality, DID, and medications to go along with all of that. And I saw so many shrinks: psychiatrists, psychologists, mental health professionals, therapists, shaman. And it wasn't until I was in my early 40s that a psychiatrist said, I think what we're dealing with is pre-verbal trauma. And I was like, what the fuck is that? This was about 9 years ago, 10 years ago, 10 nine years ago, before people were really talking trauma the way we do now. And he said, I want you to meet a colleague. He works with victims of extreme trauma. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I met Will. And then my body started remembering. And then I went through extreme PTSD, which I had been in for over 4 decades. And that's when I started healing, is working with Will, who's a licensed clinical social worker. And so a few years ago, when I knew treatment for me was complete, I opened a new credit card. I flew myself to where Will was relocated to now. And I conducted a 3.5-hour interview on how to understand, identify, and heal from big T, early childhood and teen trauma.
Yeah. That's on your website, isn't it? I did watch some of that. And yeah, we'll leave a link for that if you do want to go and watch that one. I think you should. Anya says it's such a powerful story. It really is. What I kind of popped in my head then, thinking about what you were saying, is something we've kind of thought about before, maybe spoken about. And do you feel like creative people in general often lead down that road of depression for some reason or another?
Yes. I think so many creatives have survived trauma. I think it calls. I think it's where we are able to pour it out in a safe space. But there's also a lot of predators when it comes to the arena of artists, and a lot of money being made off working class artists. So yeah, I know. It's like, why is your thing flickering? Come on.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's sorry, Chris. I know you've probably got questions in there. I keep jumping in here all the time, but it's fascinating. Have you got one? Or...
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, how obviously you've talked about the journey of discovering your own trauma and dealing with that. And I think a lot of people in your position where they're helping somebody else and they find that, I don't know if salvation's the right word, but that idea of I'm doing something good, I'm helping other people. For some people, that can be enough for them to avoid going into themselves and still going through that process of self-discovery. So how did you navigate that in terms of going, I'm doing all of these good things, I'm coaching people, I feel really good about that, but I still know that there's something that I need to look at for myself? And what was that process like?
Wow. When I realized that I was creating a method that taught people how to stop acting, I knew it was important for my actors originally, of course. Like, wow, all the techniques that I've been taught and trained have taught me how to act. Meisner, Stanislavski, Adler, theater training. But then I was like, oh, life taught me how to act. Like, I was constantly being told I wasn't enough, or I wasn't right, I wasn't thin enough, tall enough, short enough. That wasn't just from Hollywood. That was my parents. That was how I grew up. That's society. So I kept trying to like twist and change and shift my colors and act. And then I was fearlessly getting in front of the camera and like, no, you're going to see me. I'm going to stop acting. I'm going to find whatever it is about this role that I can do to play my truth. I'm not going to transform into a character. I'll fight for that. And then when I started working with actors, I just started developing this method that immediately taught us how to stop acting and play the scene as ourselves. And so many times for actors, they're taught the opposite. Do what's written on the page, follow the breakdown, make sure you're playing the character, what's your backstory, your motivation, your beats, your story arc. And that's not what Hollywood hires. It's hiring the person who's like, no, here's who I am in this material. So I love to break rules. I love to be fearlessly honest. And I started developing this process and I'm like, whoa, this is really powerful. And then I kept hiding.
Yeah.
And then my trauma bit me in the ass. The PTSD and some memories came in and I was like, oh man, I'm not healed. There's still more in that well. I still need to go deeper. And I think that's the tricky thing about the healing journey is you're like, I'm there. And then it's going to be like, sorry, let me just, or you'll have a memory. So because of when my trauma happened, like I had another memory resurface that broke me into a million pieces, and I still had healing to do. So I went back into the fold, went back into the fire, and came out over the past year going, I do not want to fake anything. I want to be real with my clients. I want to help people on such a massive scale that I need to go in and do the work beyond what I thought it would be, beyond the comfort level, beyond like let go of what I think I need, which is, you know, a partner, dating, falling in love, having the husband, having the house. Like I don't need any of that. What I need is radical self-love. What I need is to turn what I give to other people on myself, and then see how much more healing I have. And in doing that, I will be able to help more people. But it was all in a pursuit to like, no, if I really want to help people, because there's so many sick people out there helping and they're hurting. I've hurt people. I've been hurt. And we keep sort of saying, yeah, hurt people. Well, I want to help heal. But that means I have to start and be like radically honest with myself that I am following what it is that I'm teaching. And that means spending a lot of time alone, but I'm actually really starting to love it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful because I'm getting to fall in love with who I am.
Yeah. I agree. I think being alone.
I'm really yeah. Sorry, I'm really interested with the idea of self, because for me, that self and that mix of memory is a really sort of difficult concept for me to get my head around, because it's like I've gotten to this point where I think I am myself, but I'm not, because I've not dealt with those memories. And I'm aware as well, when I think about my own childhood, how reliable are those memories for me, because your brain kind of fills in the blanks in terms of like, oh, I remember it like this, and then you might speak to somebody else and they might remember it in a slightly different way. So I suppose my question is like, how do you know when you've discovered your true self, especially if there's been so many elements in your life that have been versions of you that you don't quite resonate with?
The only person's memory that matters is yours, in my opinion, because of what you felt, what you experienced. Now, sometimes we have to piece together through other people's input. I think I would say that it feels like all of a sudden you're becoming the person you were meant to be before you were hurt, but stronger. It's like who I was as a kid before trauma happened, I have returned to in my light. And like I am, you guys, like if you ask people 10 years ago, I was intense, first word, intense, dark, serious, strong, intense. Like, I mean, driven like bat out of hell. And by doing tons of work, tons of rewiring, tons of radical self-love, dating myself, which is the first step in the book, it's about getting back to who I was before I was broken. But just like fine art, now that I've glued the pieces back together, it's a whole different vase, and she's beautiful. And I'm so much stronger, and I'm grateful for my trauma. I'm grateful that I get to speak out. I'm grateful that I am the warrior that I am who has survived this. And I'm like, wow, this is light. This is love. This is Sara, who was kind and sweet and soft and sensitive and vulnerable and innocent, who had to go away for so long. And so it felt like I jumped to this other side on the other side. And I was like, oh, wow, this is beautiful. And you feel it.
Easy. Any follow-up, Chris? Can I jump in there?
Yeah, I was going to say how important was the role of the children that you worked with in that journey of self-discovery? Because from the outside looking in, it seems like you've gone back to this innocent, childlike setting with children in order to heal and grow from their starting point, essentially, but knowing what you know in life and then going back to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was a totally different time working with the kids. It was just a 2-year sort of stint when I was still acting and not coaching yet, and many years before I found Will. What it did enable me to do was go back into the world of Hollywood as an actress and have love, because I had felt that from the kids. I think it's really important to have that within ourselves in terms of like a perspective of like, how do I fall in love with life? Like, how do I use my imagination? How do I all of a sudden just go, I want ice cream and have it? Like, that is so okay. So I think it allowed me to heal from Hollywood, but I still had a long road in terms of like trauma. I didn't even know I had trauma back then when I was working with kids. No idea.
Yeah. I think what you mentioned earlier was... Oh, sorry, Chris.
No, go on, Chris. No interruption. You.
I was going to say it's quite apparent from what you said earlier. It's the case for a lot of people. And you mentioned you didn't know you had trauma, where we kind of put it in a box and push it down deep. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. And it seems like obviously yours got to a point of spilling out and all the pressure that your work and your expectations. And that's what led you to the right path of discovery in some way or the other.
Yeah.
So what advice have you got for people who may know there's a box down there, but do not want to open it?
Oh my God. CJ, what a great question. The first thing I'll do is quote Will. And he would say, we don't poke trauma. I love that. Don't poke it. Don't poke the bear. For me, that box felt like a bottomless well. It felt like it just kept going. It was so dark. And when I would get to some depth, I was in so much pain and agony that I would scream and cry and rage. And my mother would have to leave the room when I was a child because she couldn't handle it. So I was taught very young, like that's bad. If you go to that depth, they're going to leave you. Someone's going to leave you. You will not be lovable. The first thing I want to say to anyone who is afraid to open that box is you are lovable. And what's in that box is not your fault. It's not your fault. What happened to you is not your fault. And you are not alone. You are not alone. To have someone, if you want to open that box slightly, we have to be careful about who we choose to go in there with. Because a lot of people would go in there with me and do more damage once they saw my pain.
Yeah.
Go slow. Healing is a messy journey and it takes its own timetable. Make yourself the priority and surround yourself with tools, books, podcasts, people you respect and admire. Get rid of anyone who provides you any kind of grief, judgment, negativity. Fuck that. That's a hard no. Get out. Like, preserving your mental, physical well-being is crucial. And really learning how to regulate so that your nervous system learns how to calm and ease and soothe, so that when you do open the box, you have mechanisms and techniques in place that will help you regulate. That's really important. And it is our darkness that we can walk through that really creates this incredible being of who we truly are. So I think I'm not afraid of anyone's dark. I'm not afraid of anyone's corner. I'll go to anybody's conversation about any story at any point, at any time. And I think a lot of survivors will, but it's about listening and holding space.
Fantastic answer. Thank you.
My question was kind of linked to that, what you just said there. Obviously, you mentioned so many different professionals tried to help you
Yeah.
before you got to Will. So I suppose my question is, why do you think they failed, and why was Will so successful in what he was doing?
Great question. Yeah, because traditional psychotherapy doesn't work. Jung and Freud, both of my parents, those were their gurus. They don't work. I asked Will point blank in the interview, what do you think about Jung and Freud's work? And he goes, oh, it puts us back 100 years. So traditional psychotherapy analyzed my head. They wanted to shrinkitize me. They wanted to like talk about dream analysis or what happened when I was a child. But because of what happened to me as a child was a fed memory, a memory that my parents said, this is the right memory. I had taken that on as my own. So I couldn't put the pieces together, and these shrinks would psychoanalyze me, which separated me further. What Will did is immediately read my body. So when I said, what do you mean in terms of like, my shoulder started remembering first, and what remembered second was nausea. So he started reading my body, and I couldn't dance circles around. Like the first shrink I saw, I was 9 years old because I'd gone to school and eaten some poison. And my parents were like, it was just you trying to get attention. No, it wasn't. Something was very wrong. And so many people misdiagnosed that. And it only separated me further from myself, and it was me poking trauma, going into this grief, this bottomless well. But there was no answer until Will started walking me through the memories. And once the memories started coming like flashbacks, I started piecing it together, and we went slow, which is fine and good. It's okay. I'm not sure if I answered your question, Chris. I feel like I went on a bit of a journey there, but.
No, you didn't. It ties me in nicely to obviously talking a little bit about the book. And obviously, if you've gone on this process with Will, and it's you're analyzing your body, and you're taking the slow steps, how do you then go, right, this is my true self. I want to help others to be their true self, to be better in the dating world. And I suppose the question is, what's that process like to go in, right, I understand what everyone's being told. That's not working. Self-love is the most important thing, but I'm also trying to give practical advice for people to find their partner, find that person who's going to support them. I suppose if you go from a place of self-love, does that look different in the dating world than if you're doing all the generic stuff that everyone else was doing?
I personally think it does. I had come out of a relationship that I had attracted that was like, the dude was like the perfect dude. Like women would high five me. I'm not kidding. High five me. And behind the closed doors, he couldn't get it up. He wasn't touching me. He would diminish me every single day. I felt small. I had attracted him in the lowest of my undiagnosed, unhealed pain. I hadn't yet finished the work with Will. And so I was like, opposites attract. And the most important thing in life, which was, this was pounded into me. The most important thing in life is finding someone to spend it with. That was my parents. Like, you go home to my house, there's like poster sizes of my brother's wedding, my sister's wedding, my mom getting remarried. There's no me. I have been married, but there's no one, and we don't want that picture up because he was Bulgarian. Do I need to say more? I don't think so. But there's no poster of me getting married. So I had all this pressure, but I had this thought of like, well, I have to find someone. And I was like, but Sarah, you just pulled in, you attracted someone who was at your lowest of low, your darkest of times. Like that was your trauma. I attracted him in trauma. So we trauma bonded. And the healthier I got, the more it burned him. And I saw him and it got bad. So after I left, I took a few years. And then when I started writing the book, I was like, I'm rushing to get into a relationship when I don't even like who I'm looking at in the mirror. I'm thinking a relationship is going to come and change me or make me feel love or give me, because like, let's face it, feeling in love. I've had epic love. I've had incredible love, like movie making stuff people dream about, love and sex. Of course I have. But this was different. And I was like, I need to stop being so afraid of being alone. I need to stop waiting for the relationship to come in and fix, change, or give to me. And instead, start falling in love with the person that I'm looking at in the mirror. And I mean, little things like holding my hand at night. You know, when I'm going to sleep, I'll just hold my hand and be like, yeah, that feels good. I'm going to challenge myself to feel like I'm falling in love before the proof comes in. I'm going to challenge myself to date myself. And one of the first things I say is stop dating. We have to go into that, into ourselves, into our fears, our shame, our worries, our pain, and not look to someone else to fix, solve, change, but to know that we can do it ourselves with help. And then we're going into partnerships and relationships already in love. Like, I can't wait for you to meet me. And that's so important. Like, that's so important. Dudes being able to know what you like and you don't like, knowing how to organize, knowing maybe how to cook or not cook, but like, what does it feel like to date ourselves? That means learning how to fall in love with who you are. You know, people putting out, I like to hike. And I'm like, but sir, you look like you've never hiked ever a day in your life. I know you don't like hiking. Don't say what you think I want to hear. And so it became a thing of attraction. And there's a lot of woo-woo talk about that, but I was like, let me break this down and see what it really means. And what it boiled down to is I want to look in the mirror and go, I'm in love with you. That takes some work. It takes like gripping the cliffs of like despair, loneliness, facing self, but it's so freaking worth it. It's so worth it.
So with that, sorry, Chris.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, obviously, the messages that Hollywood send out, and obviously the reason I'm mentioning Hollywood is because the actor connection and stuff, but the messages that Hollywood send out, especially to men, is almost the direct opposite of the advice that you've just given in terms of like, you know, all the Hollywood films and things like that. They're always, as you've said before, about, you know, the lead role of the woman and the man's role in the film and stuff like that. They're all very stereotypical. So how do you navigate giving advice to men that is the direct opposite of what they're being fed every single day through the media?
Well, that's where the term warrior comes in, right? You have to be brave enough to be yourself, to go against the current, to be the fish swimming upstream. Some people, it's for them. They love that. They love the stereotype. They love the box. They love, you know, like the idea of a white picket fence. Like some women, like I could not, because of trauma, because I've went through, I could have never been in a one long-term marriage. I had too much work to do. I had too many things to find. But there are some people who that is their life. And I think it's looking at what Hollywood gives out and going, okay, does that work for me right now? Does that serve my story? Like right now, I would rather watch Alone on History Channel about surviving in the wilderness by yourself than like a rom-com. And I'm like, fuck yeah, these guys are out there. They're doing solos. They're fighting this. So, you know, there's other options, but Hollywood is bullshit. And we have to break these stereotypes. We have to break down these boxes. There's all kinds of men. There's all kinds of women. There's all kinds of people. There's all kinds of people who are transitioning. There is someone out there for you. But when we don't know who we are, we're attracting someone who could just be a temporary lesson, or someone that we stay into a toxic relationship way too long, or a relationship where we're not happy. And I just want relationships to be a place where we're happy. And I haven't been in all of my relationships because I wasn't happy. So I expected them to fix or change or solve or make me happy when that's not fair to do to another person. But Hollywood makes it like it's this neat package, and we come with scars and battle wounds and pain. And I think the most important thing we can do is be honest. But Hollywood is a town filled with lies, built on lies and fear and oppression. So being someone who worked in it for so long, I take it with a grain of salt. You know, I'm someone who, y'all, I sat in a trailer with Michael Dorn while he was still in full Klingon makeup, drinking a Corona while he hit on me. And I was like, does he know that like the Klingon thing is still on his forehead? Like maybe that's a turn on for some women, not for me. But it was a delicious Corona. It was a hilarious story. And I was like, no, thank you. So yeah, I think Hollywood and, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Who doesn't love a great movie? Who doesn't love it when the hero, you know, shows up in the pouring rain? I'm a huge fan of Yellowstone and watching Beth call Rip and I need your baby. And he's like, I'm on my way. And he's like riding like the wind on his horse. You know, that still strikes a chord of like, God, it'd be nice to have a man like that. But you know what? My dude is probably a doctor of Ayurvedic medicine in India who is not going to be like Rip in Yellowstone. And that's okay. I can love and appreciate both. It's not either or, it's both and.
Yeah, amazing. It's a great questions, Chris, and good answers. I love that. Anya says, Alone is great. And holy shit, she needs more of that story. I'm assuming the trailer story. But I'm not sure we can get that. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to have to push this along because we've got just over 10 minutes left. And this is always a great sign of a great conversation that we're flying through this. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask Sara about her book. And if you have got questions, please send them in now and we'll try and squeeze them in as best we can. So Sara, can you tell us what Dating for Dudes is all about? And then we'll get some snippets from that if we can.
Yeah, I think it's what we've been talking about. It's I wrote it for dudes, but I've been following it myself. I wrote it to be helpful. I'm not a relationship coach. And you know what? I don't want to be a relationship coach. I just wanted to help guys. I wanted to help men. I wanted to help dudes understand that there's a better way. And it does involve some woo-woo stuff. It does involve self-work, and a lot of love and kindness and patience. And then it's like how to have a better like track record when it comes to online dating. Like some of the ways these guys are doing their profiles is like, oh God, if I see one more shot of like I call it the up the nostril shot where he's like in the car and he's like, his phone is below him and he's like, yeah. And it's like right up yeah, exactly. Chris. It's up you guys have it. It's up the nose. Nothing cute about that. No, sir. You know, or like it's the same picture of him 15 different times, or it's like 5 photos from high school or college. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Like if this is what you're doing, do it with intention. And it feels like it's become swipe, 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 and people are discouraged. And I don't want people to be discouraged because there is love out there. There are men out there. There are women. There are people. There are humans. There are transitioning. There is someone out there for you, but it starts with working on who you are. And then when it comes to online dating, I think there's a better process. It just has to be intentional. And that's what I lead you through in the book towards the second part. I mean, I do talk trauma and I do talk what it is to be dating in this world and what it is to be a man. I do talk about what we have some end of chapter things called just the tip or going deeper. I try and keep, you know, a sense of humor about the whole thing, or like what to say when she's like pushing you away. I think we as human beings need to learn how to communicate in a more direct and honest way. And that's what I feel like, and I hope the book does. And it's fun.
So interesting then. Yeah. Dating for Dudes, obviously this is building up to the relationship. Are you planning on past that point where the relationship is together?
I don't think so.
No?
Right now, I just started the trauma book called It Happened to Me. Working title is It Happened to Me, A Story of Survival. It's pouring. I mean, it's literally like Dating for Dudes took 2 years. This is in a week. I've almost finished the book. I'm not kidding you guys. I mean, it's 10 hours a day. Yeah. But it's pouring, and that's the calling, is is, and I'm so, by the way, congratulations on, you said level 5 trauma training. Trauma, tell me, I have to pivot.
So yeah, it's, thank you first of all. It's a level 5 trauma informed schools UK course. So it's trauma and mental health informed practice for young people, because I'm a teacher of young people.
That is incredible.
Yeah, so right on cue with this amazing conversation that you provided.
Yes. And look, once I've been married for like I don't need to be married, but like once my husband and I have found each other and I'm in the relationship for like 10 years, maybe I'll write the book.
Yeah.
But I'll put it first in Achilles heel right here, relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Very successful, awesome life, but like that was my Achilles heel. At this point, I'm like, I feel pretty good about it, but I have other things to write.
So with dating for dudes, is there advice? Because in the creative world, especially the author world, a lot of people are introverts.
Yes.
And don't get out very often. So what
Yes.
advice have you got for the authors out there that are sat behind this screen and don't want to get out from behind it?
Oh my God, you guys, I totally feel you. It may look like I'm an extrovert, but again, actress. This is me, but I'm a homebody.
Yeah.
I love being at home, you guys. I am so, I have my birthday at a club, not a club, but like where music and stuff. I was like, that's the last time ever. I can't do it like ever again. I need to have like a library birthday next year. I love nature. I love quiet. Number one, you do have to leave your apartment or your house.
Yeah.
You just do. You can meet someone anywhere. You really can. It's an energy thing. And when I really started doing this process and I decided, okay, I'm going to get rid of the apps and trust the work. That day I'm walking the trail near my house with my dog and I look a mess. Like my hair looked like 2 birds had nested, no makeup, not even cute, like lip balm, like not even cute lip balm, you guys. I never leave the house without lip balm. And this guy's biking by, my dog looks at him. He's like, cute dog. And I was like, oh, thanks. We ended up talking. He was like an acting teacher. He was a middle child. He's not a fan of who's in the White House at all. He was like middle child, New York, like all this cool stuff. We dated for a couple months. I met him on the trail. Another guy was driving in my neighborhood and I saw this guy and I was like, I'll take one of those, please, God. A few weeks later, his son saw my dog, ended up dating him for a few minutes. Like, you know,
So the key is get a dog, right?
You know what? Listen. When we're talking about mental health, I cannot advocate for having a dog more.
Yeah.
I cannot. But in terms of dating, yes, get out there, walk your dog or walk yourself. But small things. Try a reading group. Try a hiking group. Just try, because nothing comes from being comfortable. So we want to push past our comfort zone as we sort of dip our toe in. And don't judge, just get like whiteboarded. I like to say, what do you want to try? Well, I've never done knitting. Okay, you might meet someone at a knitting circle. Did you guys have Groupon?
Yeah.
So I like to say, go Groupon. Go to Groupon and find like a wine and sip paint thing, like, and take yourself on a date, because you'll never know. You may not meet someone that you want to date, but you might meet someone next to you who's like, oh my God, I have this friend I want to set you up with. So a big part of it is energetically staying open when you're ready and not thinking I have to get into a relationship to complete myself or to make my life happy. You don't have to get into a relationship until you're really ready. And I want you to start with the relationship with yourself.
I think my question from that is, like, once you've got that relationship with yourself, how do you know that, because you talked a lot about energy there, how do you know if people are adding to your energy or taking away from your energy? And how do you, I suppose, when you find that right energy, stop searching for more energies, if that makes sense? Because obviously I could see the destructive pattern that you could go down if you go, this is me, this is who I am, I want to try a little bit of this energy, and then, oh, hang on a minute, I've not tried that energy before. I want to try that energy. And how do you navigate that? How do you know that the people or the person that you're interacting with is adding to yourself and helping you grow and develop in the way that you want to? And I suppose, would you ever know if you were complete, if that makes sense?
I think you do. I think we're never fully complete because hopefully you're always learning. I think people are meant to come into our life for a page, sometimes a chapter, not necessarily the whole book. Sometimes a sentence. And so I like to look at, what is this person going to teach me? What's the lesson here? Your body will absolutely tell you when someone is not good for you. Mine, like I get like a guy sent me a text yesterday. My stomach did a flip flop, but it wasn't like in a good way. And I was like, oh, we're done. Like, it's that clear. It was just a tiny little butterfly flutter. And I was like, nope, my body's done. Doesn't like them. So really, when we start doing this healing work and we start tuning into what your body is telling you, and that's so crucial, whether it's a little shaky, whether it's a little flip floppy, sometimes we think that is the attraction. It's not. It's not. I think it's your body saying, And I think it's really important to try a whole bunch of different things. And then I do think that like my investment in being single has helped enormously. Like really loving being single versus like, oh God, if just I could meet someone. And instead going, oh, I'm single. This is the ultimate freedom and I'm having a blast. Let me try some pottery next week. And not to meet someone necessarily, but more to meet myself. And then knowing that like in my past, when it's the right relationship, I've also known. So trusting that and trusting yourself.
Great answer. Again. Yeah. We've got a question from Halo, and it's a good one. So let's put that up there. Most uncanny, paranormal, coincidental experience you've had in acting and coaching?
What? Well, I did the movie Paranormal 4 or 5. That was ridiculous. The audition was insane. And then they ended up cutting me, which could have been bad because I was invited to the premiere and then I didn't go. And then someone was like, oh, you were cut. And so I met the director at a party a few months later. I was like, dude, couldn't someone have called and been like, hey, don't show up. You were cut from the film. So that is actual paranormal. But I think that's what I have my answer for that question. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. That is quite bad, isn't it? If you imagine rocked up for the premiere and sat through it and went, oh, shit.
Not there. And I hate horror. Like I did a couple horror movies, but it's not I will not watch it. I will not watch it.
I love horror.
Do you?
Yes. It's like, I sleep with my foot at the bed. Like people don't get that, but I don't care.
So I was out in Malibu and I'm like, why is everyone surrounding Robert? Like this big bus of kids was surrounding one of our actors and he's signing all these autographs, this older funny guy. And they're like, Sarah, that's Robert Englund. He was Freddy Krueger. And I was like, oh, I've heard of that. I saw the trailer and like didn't sleep for 4 years. But yeah, Robert is a sweetheart.
Wow. And going back very quickly, sorry, Chris. Oh my God, yes, Library Birthday. Library Birthday is the best idea ever. I think you've started something.
Oh.
Maybe we could start a business, all three of us, at Library Birthday Party Bash. Library Birthday Party Bash.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to say, just before we go, because obviously we're running out of time, but what's the biggest lesson you've learned from coaching somebody else?
Everybody has magic inside of themselves. That nothing is more powerful than someone coming from their truth. And it's small, it's simple, it's not necessarily bells and whistles, but it's undeniable and irreplaceable and absolutely the most powerful magic I think there is.
Amazing. Cool. Anything? Yeah, Chris is right. And we sent you questions we haven't even started to ask you, and we're pushed the time already. So
I did talk a lot.
Again, no, it's been absolutely fantastic. One of the most powerful episodes I think we've ever had. And so many people will take amazing advice from this episode. So thank you so much. But before we do have to wrap this up, where can people find out more about you? Where can they watch that amazing video interview you had and buy your brand new book?
Yeah, so my name is Sara Banyan, and my website is sarabanyan, BANYAN.com. And the interview, the 12-minute trailer for the interview with Will is transformingtrauma.info. Transformingtrauma.info. Trigger warning. But I have seen those 12 minutes change a survivor's life. So,
yeah. Absolutely. We will, of course, leave links to everything we can in the description of everything. And yes, Anna says that was absolutely incredible. Loved it so much. So yes, you are definitely resonating with a lot of people there and giving great advice. So please do go out and buy Dating for Dudes. Is it for everybody? If you're not a dude, can you read this?
I think so. Again, I'm following it. I got strong dude in me. But yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's fun. And I am going to be giving it to some of my friends who are female, because I'm like, I think it's working. I feel it's working, and anything that I can do to help, I'm going to do it. So yeah.
Amazing. There you go. Brilliant stuff. So thank you very much for everybody tuning in and the people that will watch and listen back to this. If you've got any questions, please send them to us or to Sarah. And I put in the chat to this the phone numbers for anyone who might need any help or support. And as me and Chris have mentioned before, if you do need any help or just someone to talk to, reach out to us, and we are more than happy to chat to you and support you in any way we can. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Sarah, and hope you have a great weekend. And everybody, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy your weekend.
Yes. Bye. Bye.